welcome back to computer science. What did we learn about yesterday? Lists, tokens, splitting things up, string splitting, lists, tokens, join. Split and join methods. Anything after that? Man, I don't remember where we started. I think it would have been pretty much split. Split will, yeah, we definitely did that. And then it gets split, token, separator. Okay? That was sort of right about after that. So the join function is essentially the inverse of the split function. What join will do is take a list of strings and combine them with a given separator in between each. So it's string name dot join, and then within the argument is the list. Then we started the next unit on lists. Lists are mutable containers that have that are positional or ordered. Index of a list can be something that's not an index. It can be an expression, but it has to evaluate to an integer. So I meant integer instead of index. So an index has to evaluate to an integer ultimately, but it can be an expression. I think that's basically everything. List, mutable container, ordered positional, contains references to other objects. Good. Okay. List accepts single iterable object arguments. Oh, so this is list function. List function will turn a string, tuple, maybe a dictionary into a list. String list or tuple, single iterable object argument. Index. Okay. Join. So the default separator is white space. You can basically say which you want to use as a separator, whether it's a single character or a multiple characters, and then it will output tokens that are in between separators, but also the beginning and the first separator and the end of the string and the last separator. So if a string begins with separator, it's going to produce an empty string right away. If you ever have two or more separators in a row, it's going to produce an empty string for each, in between each, the two. So if there's three, there's going to be two empty strings produced, and then if it ends with the separator, it's going to produce an empty string as well. The default separator will never produce a white empty string, I should say. All right. Split and join. Okay, so that's it for yesterday. I'm going to jump in, continue learning. I'll be back to recall what I learned in a little bit. All right, continuing with lists. An in-place modification is really referring to when you make a modification to a list without creating a new list. So this is like deleting an element or adding an element or changing or modifying an element in a list. This maintains the same list. Some list operations that are not in place modifications for maintaining the same list it does maintain the same list, but it also creates a new list, include string slicing, just like string, or list slicing, just like string slicing, and list concatenation. I think that was everything for notes. Yep. So we're just about to finish this unit on lists, and then there will be one more unit in this lecture, which is on list methods, I believe. So be back later to do that. Talk to you then. All right, welcome back to computer science. What were we learning earlier today. We were continuing with lists and in place modifications versus list slicing, list concatenation. Anyway, let's jump back in. I'll be back to your call in a little bit. All right, list methods. We finished up that unit. So basically we had methods for adding, methods for removing elements, and then kind of modifying elements, and then miscellaneous. So adding, there's 3 list methods for adding. You got list dot append. You can append an element or object to the end of a list. List dot extend, that will basically concatenate or add the list as the argument to the list. Append, extend, add, insert, append, extend, insert I comma x. It basically, what it does is it inserts x, element x, or object x in front of index I. Remove methods. There's 3 of them. We got pop, remove, and pop I. So basically dot remove will remove the first element with that value that is given. List dot pop with no argument will remove the final element in the list, but also it will return it. And then list.pop with index I as the argument will remove the object element I, but also return it. Yeah, I guess there's only 2 methods then, but pop was considered 2 of them for some reason. Really, just why? What's the default argument? Moving or modifying elements. We've got list.sort, which will sort the list from smallest to largest, and list.reverse, which will reverse the orders of the elements in place, and then the miscellaneous ones. List.count will count the number of objects or elements, that evaluates the value that is given as an argument. List.index yeah, will return the index of that argument, or first element that has the value of the argument. And it's best practice to use methods for adding or removing rather than doing other operations, because it's easier to read. So all right, that's it for today. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.